is it, a birdcage?
I'm Billy Peltzer,
No,
and this is my story.
We're gonna have to open it now. Won't wait till Christmas.
Kingston Falls was always beautiful during Christmas. The snow blanketed everything in white. The lights twinkled all along Main Street, and carolers stayed out in the cold to sing by the town square. For a place that's small, it really was great, like nothing bad could ever happen. I thought that year would be just as peaceful as the rest, but I couldn't have been more wrong. It started when my dad, Randall, came home from one of his trips. He's an inventor, an optimistic one, to put it kindly. Most of his creations don't work right, like the egg cracker that sprays yolk everywhere, or the smokeless ashtray that fills the house with smoke. But that didn't stop him from dreaming big. That Christmas, he brought back something that wasn't one of his inventions. Instead, it was a gift from me, something he said I'd never forget, and trust me, I never did. Dad told me he'd stumbled into a strange shop in Chinatown while looking for a gift from Mom. It was filled with many oddities, ancient trinkets, jars filled with who knows what, and a very strange little creature. A mogwai, the shopkeeper called it. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before, a tiny, furry creature with enormous ears, big soulful eyes, and a voice that sounded like a mix between a kitten's purr and a bird's song.
What's he?
The shopkeeper didn't want to sell him, muttering something about responsibility, but Dad's money and persistence got the better of him, or so we thought. The man's grandson handed the mogwai, which we named Gizmo, over to him with 3 very important rules. Rule 1.
Number 1, he hates bright lights.
Keep him away from bright
But
light.
you gotta keep him out of the sunlight. Sunlight will kill him.
Next,
Number 2,
never get him wet.
keep him away from water. Don't give him any water to drink. And whatever you do, don't give him a bath.
And last and most important,
And probably the most
no matter
important
what
thing,
or how much he begs, never,
ever feed
ever
him
feed him after
midnight.
midnight. Gizmo became part of the family right away. He was gentle, curious, and smart, smarter than any pet I'd ever known. He loved to hum this sweet, haunting little tune, and he'd tilt his head whenever I talked to him, like he understood every word. Barney, our dog, didn't know what to make of him at first, but even he warmed up to Gizmo. For a while, everything was perfect, but one day my friend Pete came over, and while we were playing, he accidentally spilled water on Gizmo. I thought it was no big deal, until I saw what happened. These strange little balls started popping out of Gizmo's back, and before long there were 5 more mogwai. But these new ones weren't like Gizmo. They were rowdy, sneaky, and had this mischievous glint in their eyes. The leader, Stripe, had a white mohawk that made him look even meaner. I tried my best to take care of them, but things got worse. They chewed through the clockwork, so when I fed them what I thought was an innocent plate of leftover chicken, I broke the most important rule without realizing it. That night, they went into these slimy cocoons, and by morning, they weren't mogwai anymore. I'll never forget what they looked like when they emerged. Scaly, green-skinned monsters with sharp claws, glowing yellow eyes, and a cackling laugh that sounded like pure chaos. Gremlins. They didn't just cause trouble, they thrived on it. They trashed the house, attacked Barney, and then escaped into town. Kingston Falls became a war zone overnight. The Gremlins were everywhere, tearing down Christmas lights, smashing windows, and sabotaging everything they could get their claws on. But it wasn't just destruction, they had this sick sense of humor. At Dory's Tavern, where Kate worked, they took over completely, swinging from ceiling fans, guzzling booze, and even playing cards. One of them wore lipstick and a wig, trying to flirt with her. Another flashed her like some kind of sick joke. Kate barely escaped. The worst of it was at the movie theater. The Gremlins crammed inside to watch Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, singing hi-ho at the top of their lungs like they were at a party. It was surreal, this horrifying juxtaposition of innocent joy and utter madness. Stripe, their leader, was the most dangerous of them all. He was smart, cunning, and meaner than the rest. I tracked him to the local department store for a final showdown. The place was dark, filled with shadows and eerie silence, except for the occasional crash as Stripe set traps for me. He almost got me with a crossbow, and then with a chainsaw, but Gizmo saved me in the end. Gizmo, sweet, brave Gizmo, rigged a toy car to drive across the store and open the skylight. The sunlight hit Stripe just as he was about to finish me off. And he let out this unholy scream. I watched horrified as his body melted, bubbling and smoking until all that was left was a puddle of green goo. When the dust settled, the old man from the shop appeared. He was furious, and rightfully so. He told us we weren't ready for the responsibility of a mogwai. I wanted to argue to say I'd learned my lesson, but deep down, I knew he was right. Gizmo didn't belong in my world. Before he left, Gizmo looked back at me, his big eyes filled with sadness, and said bye. Billy, it was the first time I heard him speak, and it broke my heart. That Christmas, I learned the hard way that not all gifts are blessings, but Gizmo taught me something too, that even in the darkest times, there's still kindness and courage to be found. I just hope someday I'll be ready to see him again.